Here's what I'd love to do to really kick off our consciousness-raising campaign, to turbocharge it. A march and rally in Washington, D.C. Nothing draws attention and raises the stakes of an issue like a march on Washington. We're going to gather on the National Mall right outside the doors of the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History. It's really a piece of cake to secure a permit for public gatherings. This is what the National Mall is for. Of course, we're not going to storm the building, but we're showing out here because of what it represents, the paradigm of the official view of the natural world.
We're interested in people bringing their own personal experiences, their own understandings of the world, in order to engage with the science.
This is Dr. Rick Potts. He has been the director of the Human Origins Department at the museum since 1985. That's nearly 35 years as one of the principal gatekeepers, shaping what we are allowed to know.
We're interested in people bringing their own personal experiences.
Oh, we'll bring our personal experiences, all right, and a whole lot more.
Their own understandings of the world in order to engage with the science.
In order to engage with the science? Actually, we're demanding that the science engage with us and what we already understand. We've been spinning our wheels for far too long. We need to think big, to make noise, to apply pressure, to drive the national conversation, and to raise the visibility of the species in the mind's eye of mainstream consciousness. We may not draw 1 million people, but 100,000 is definitely well within sight. Once the idea catches fire, it will blow up. The crowd will consist of a whole spectrum of people and postures toward the Sasquatch species. Those who have been traumatized, their lives ruined, and wish to commune with thousands of others like them. Those who celebrate the species and wish for our relationship with our next of kin to be able to come out of the shadows. There is a new natural order coming down the pike. We need to run to meet it.
I wrote something for this occasion. It's not an original thought to say that people are motivated by fear. The fear of death can motivate you to be healthy. The fear of the dark can motivate you to turn on the lights. But the fear of ridicule, that one can motivate people to do nothing. We can no longer allow the strings of doubt to hold us in place. The barrier to enlightenment is the development of self-consciousness. We have to free ourselves from the disagreement or the disparagement of ignorance and know that among ridicule, mockery, and denial still exists the truth. And the truth shall not only free us all, but the truth will free others' perception of the unknown and bring to light all that we know and believe. That's why most people want to remain anonymous in this, and that's the only real issue I see of that. And I think we need to free ourselves from that.
There are, 285 million adults in Canada and the United States. And a recent survey by Chapman University, and there's been many of these surveys, and they all seem to point to about the same level, says that 21% of adults in Canada and the U.S. believe seriously, not just kind of on the fence, but think that Sasquatch is a real species. 20%. So that means that 59 million adults think that Sasquatch is a real species. So if we can get 1.7% of people mobilized in this campaign to finally get over the hump, however you want to define that right now, that's 1 million people. And if we can get 1/10 of that to come either to this rally or to satellite rallies that may occur in other parts of the country, then we'll have earned a place in the history of bringing this whole issue forward into the light more. So Kerry, I reached out to him because he's an up-and-coming documentary filmmaker who happens to be devoted to our topic, which is super fortunate for us. Um, you all know what great work he's done, even just in the first couple of years of your learning curve, Carrie. And so I really thought you might be the perfect person to kind of on spec, without a budget, without a whole lot of professional apparatus and contracts and everything, although we'll do whatever you want.
All we need are cameras and bodies.
Cameras and bodies.
And yeah, that's it. And
Yeah.
and to be able to fly the drone would be nice.
Well, yeah, we talked about this earlier today. It's restricted airspace around there, so you can only fly a drone up to 140 feet. But Carrie says that's fine. Again, a can-do attitude.
That's all we need. Just an idea what we have. And even if if we get 2,000 people, it's gonna make the news. It's
That's
gonna
right.
get out. It's gonna get out to others. You march on Washington, and you're gonna make the news. I can see you sitting on at the Fox News or CNN desk right now, actually. Well, if nothing else gets accomplished, to me, like I said, it's gonna have a buzz to it. It's gonna make the news, and what better way for us to push awareness than for 10 million people to see this many people taking it this seriously? Because it's gonna happen. We're gonna get mocked, and there's a lot of ignorance out there that we're gonna have to paddle through.
Yeah,
But
there'll be a lot of pushback, a lot of annoying and aggressive pushback.
Absolutely, but we'll just have to stand our ground. Again, we cannot let the strings of doubt hold us in place anymore, because that's what's happening.
I'm 58 years old. I'm starting to realize, you look back at all these pioneers like Grover Krantz and Renee DeHinden and all those guys, and they spent their whole careers, John Green, not ever even seeing a Sasquatch and not seeing any progress overall in our field of inquiry. And I don't want to, I'm going to be old soon. You're going to be old, not quite as soon. We're all going to be old in the
about 11 years on me.
In the blink of an eye. And life is short, and I really think we need to light a fire in our collective bellies, because for all the hard work that we do, we've been strangely passive on the track of political, social organization. And I just think we can research and do this at the same time.
But everybody is forming and creating their own legacy now, and I just think this is the next step that has to be done. Like you said before, no one's done this. Why hasn't anyone done this?
Yeah.
And I think it all comes down to motivation. What are we motivated by? What do you really want to get done? I think this is an excellent legacy for you, Christopher. I mean, it couldn't be a perfect person leading this charge.
Oh, it's nice of you. And the good thing about this, perhaps, also is that no matter what your camp, what your exact agenda is within this, you can participate in this rally. It doesn't have to be a monolithic kind of ideology, except that we all want to spread awareness. There will be those factions who definitely don't want to spread awareness, and they will not participate. And there'll be the ego thing. There'll be people saying, well, why should Chris and Carrie and their little cadre, why should they organize it? Why shouldn't I organize it? There'll be that kind of thing. And so
that's fine.
That's fine. They don't have to participate.
We got to set all that stuff aside, man. It's time. There's spinning our wheels for so long, doing the same thing over and over. It's almost the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over, getting the same results. And you get people, we'll draw people in for a while, and then they'll get bored with it because it's the same thing over and over and over again. And then, they're back out. This is all we're getting is this. We got to keep it, new and fresh. To me, this is perfect. It's perfect.
Well, however the final thing comes out, if we get 1,500 or 2,500 people or whatever, and not 100,000, the journey to it is going to be instructive and enlightening. We'll bring a lot of people into the fold of fascination and passion with this, and compassion. The more people come out of the woodwork and explain how they've been traumatized, perhaps like you have, by encounters with this species, the more people who come out and say that they've been able to communicate lovingly and intricately with the species, like Snow White Bigfoot does. All of those, both sides and everything in between, will be magnified and amplified by the desire to crystallize everything on one day in the future. So I'm just hoping for the best, and you know, it's better than sitting around.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I wonder, and I think a lot, how many people have actually gone through experiencing, even if it's just a glimpse, you know, of these beings, and they're out there, and these people that know and believe, but you know, like I said, they're not saying anything because of fear of ridicule. And I mean, and that is understandable, but I think that has to be part of the angle is
A
pleading
therapeutic
with
angle,
people,
a cathartic
yeah,
angle.
pleading with people to set aside their fears and just come on out with it and come join us.
Well, you know, not only are people afraid of being ridiculed from outside, they internalize the ridicule, and they feel ashamed. They question themselves. They question whether they're legitimately having the right level of emotional reaction. They might think, well, what am I, a baby? Am I a mouse? Like, why can't I, you know, just kind of brush this off? And the more we can get people to network and compare notes through this process, and it's already been happening a lot for years through thanks to our friend the internet. But the more we can increase this, the more cathartic and sort of therapeutic this is going to be for people who have been to some degree emotionally crippled, which might seem like an overstatement, but some people are. And so that's just one prong or one facet or one advantage of this campaign.
I think you're going to be surprised at how many people want to join it and be on board with this. And you know, it's not hard to understand, you know, the layman's view of this and why it's in the state that it is. Because even if Sasquatch is real, I'm talking about the layman view, in their mind, a lot of people's mind, and I believe this, even if it's real, what is validating this creature? How's it going to affect my life anyway? Probably won't really affect anyone. So it's easier to stand away and you know, maybe just look at it from time to time. It's easier to stand back and carry on with their day-to-day life and worry about the things that are actually important to them. It's almost like something has to happen for people to actually be into it. Rarely, I think, is it just pure interest that gets people into this. And I think there's enough people out there that have experienced this that will want to join. But like I said, one step at a time. Just get to the Bigfoot community, and we'll be pushing it. I'll be announcing it on every. I got 3 shows I'm going on this week.
If anyone listening right now, or more of you listening in the future to the recording, is thinking, well, why don't we just leave them alone? That's a very common and an understandable standpoint. But I have my thoughts on it. Carrie, you probably have your thoughts on it. Just briefly,
I'm the reason. I am the very reason that we should not leave them alone, because
go ahead.
I knew absolutely nothing about them. I was completely and totally unaware, and I believe it's that ignorance that I had is when I did realize that it was real. That's the effect that it had on me, because I wasn't aware. The shock, the surprise, kept me out of the woods for 11 years. Totally made me change everything. So I mean, that's why people need to be aware. Whether you believe in it or not, when you hear that strange, weird thing out there, at least consider the possibility. That way, when it does step out on you, you're not shocked to the point that it just debilitates you. So I would say your mind
needs to have something to latch onto when you're in your position, and yours didn't.
That's right. Nothing. So that's why awareness is important.
That's a great perspective, Carrie. And I'll let you go at this point. I really appreciate being on with me. All right. Good night.
Thanks for having me, Chris. Take care, buddy.
Bye. You too. And if anybody's interested in my perspective on why not just leave them alone, I'm not going to babble on about it right now, but you can watch my video. It's Sasquatch and Civic Duty #2. It's called Why Not Leave Them Alone?